How long has it been? Well, it's been 647 days plus since we've had a big snowfall. Will we get snow this winter? Our weather team is going to be taking a look. Snow or no snow? Are you prepared for the cold season? We've got ways to help you prepare your house and your car. So let's dig into it. Winter is right around the corner. In fact, it's really going to feel like winter this weekend. But I know the question that you're all asking really is, will there be snow? Yeah, we said the S word. All right, Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley is answering that and much more.
Winter is just around the corner and your weather team is ready to deliver the winter forecast. And if you love snow, boy, has it been a while. In fact, 647 days since we've had measurable snow right here in the Triad. That's a really long stretch. In fact, the last time we got over 1 inch of snow back in January 2022, it's been almost 2 years since we got 2 inches of snow, and even longer. For a big snow, you have to go all the way back to December 2018 when we got a foot. So how's it looking this year?
Well, when it comes to winter weather forecasting, it's not just about what's happening here in the Triad or even in the state of North Carolina or even across the United States. We have to look at the overall average weather pattern across the globe. And this year is a little bit different. The last couple of years, we've had a La Nina winter. Now this winter, we have an El Nino, and that's actually already developed. So what happens is we have winds that blow across the equator. We call those the trade winds, or near the equator. When they weaken, it allows warmer water to pool up a little closer to South America. What does that do? Well, in turn, it actually strengthens our subtropical jet stream, and it lives a little further to the north. So we have a more active storm track that brings us at least a few more opportunities for moisture across the south. Now, on the flip side of that, our Arctic outbreaks, Arctic air is usually a little more limited with a further north polar jet. That means that typically things are a little bit warmer to the north and a little bit cooler to the south. As far as precipitation goes, generally the south is typically a little wetter in an El Nino year. To the north, typically a little bit drier. And there you go, temperature impacts again, typically a little warmer to the north and a little cooler across the south. That could mean a better chance for snow, but again, it's all how everything matches up. We have to have the cold air and we have to have the moisture in place at the exact right time.
In winter forecasting, it's also important to note the recent changes as we've seen over the past several decades, with winters slowly beginning to warm up. Averages since 1970 all the way up until 2022 have gone up 4.5 degrees. So this is something that we have to keep in mind while we are winter forecasting here in the Triad.
We're talking about freezing temperatures overnight. Our data set runs from 1970 to just last year, 2022. That's a 50-year period, and we have actually had fewer nights where the temperature has gone below freezing, as noted by this white bar, suggesting a warm up in our climate.
It's really helpful for us to look back at winters that had similar conditions to this one when we're making our forecast. I went back and looked at winters from the 80s to 2000s that also had strong El Nino signatures. And in that time, most of those winters had more precipitation than usual, which leads us to believe a wetter winter is likely overall, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to have more snowfall. We did the same thing with temperature and did find that the temperature on average was a little bit above normal, but not that much. That leads me to believe temperatures very near average overall, but perhaps not that many Arctic outbreaks compared to normal. Oh yes, the biggie everyone wants to know about snowfall. In an average year, we get about 7 inches or so here in the Piedmont Triad. Looking at those same winters with similar conditions, they showed about 9, which gives us some reason to believe that we might have more opportunities for snow than average. This is not a guarantee, but it certainly seems like near average snow could be doable for us, which is a big deal because that has not happened much in recent years. Your WFMY News 2 winter forecast for this year is calling for a wetter than average winter. Temperatures, they're going to be pretty much close to average. Snow, that could be close to average, and we'll also have to watch out for ice events. More chances for winter weather than in recent years.
All right, what everybody heard out of that is we're going to get snow. right? You look
Sure.
back at the history, and so kind of talk about that all those years that you look back at.
I'll say a couple things. Number one, we almost always get snow. It might not seem that way. We didn't last year. We almost always do. Average for us is 6 to 8 inches. So saying we get average snow, that's still a pretty good winter, but it's still not a guarantee. You know, you put all that work into it. It looks like we'll have plenty of chances.
Okay.
And so there's good reason to think people will not be disappointed this year, but we still have to let it play out. Claire, you're new to the area a little.
Yeah.
After spending time at the coast, are you looking forward to maybe some snow?
Maybe a little bit of snow. I grew up towards Charlotte, and then I went to NC State and Raleigh, and then went to Wilmington. I've seen a little bit more snow toward the Charlotte area, but I think I'll have one good snow day in me, and then I'm ready for the warmer air. You know what I mean?
One good snow day.
And I do know a lot of things have to align, though, for that to happen.
We're gonna
Right,
put you
and
to work
everybody
on
just
snows.
wants one good snow day at least, right?
That's
for
right.
sure. All right, well, the weather last week gave us a little glimpse of maybe what is to come. And while it feels nice and warm right now, it is time to really start preparing for the winter season and those times when, you know what, the power goes out and it's cold.
Obviously, you want to make sure that you are dressed appropriately first. A scarf, gloves, a hat, some boots, and a heavy coat. There's always a possibility for power outages, so make sure that your phone, laptop, or tablet are fully charged. If the power goes out, don't open your fridge. It'll keep your food from spoiling way too quickly. Instead, make sure that you have non-perishable food and water on hand.
Be prepared ahead of time. You should know that you're going to stay at home on Sunday, if that's when it hits, and that you should be prepared to have enough supplies to stay there for 72 hours at least.
So how do you keep your home warm without power? You'll want to stay in one room as much as possible. Body heat will help keep the room warm if you keep the door closed. Now, if you plan on using candles, a stove, fireplace, or space heater, make sure that you are extremely careful.
If they're using an alternate heat source, wood, kerosene, they need to make sure they have a CO detector, a carbon monoxide detector in the house. Even if they have a wood stove or a fireplace, they should have one in the house.
So you know the drill. Don't drive in this stuff, but if you have to, AAA says drive slow on slick roads. Use the gas and brake pedals very lightly. The National Weather Service suggests having an emergency kit in your car that has an ice scraper, first aid kit, a blanket, flashlight that I have right here, and even a bag of sand or cat litter in case you get stuck. If your car breaks down, make sure that your car is visible to rescuers, turn on your hazards, try to keep warm, and know that it might be a while until help arrives.
The 911 center is going to be overwhelmed with calls. This often can multiply their calls by tenfold. And also just being patient for EMS, police, state troopers, fire department, everyone, because it's going to take us an extended amount of time to get there.
Finally, first responders say get any medications or prescriptions ahead of time. That way you're not trying to go out and get it when the roads get bad.
All right, no snow this weekend, but it could be cold enough that you need to defrost your car windshield, right? So let's take a look at that. Warming up your car for several minutes can actually shorten the life of your engine because it's just sitting idle for way too long. So instead of doing that, they say you first need to get in and press that defrost button. Turn off recirculation in the car. Make sure your fan is turned to the highest setting and let it run for a little bit. Do not use any hot water to de-ice your windshield this season. It could actually crack the glass. Instead, you can mix 2/3 rubbing alcohol and 1/3 water in a bottle. Pour it on your windshield, and that can help melt the ice when it gets to the icy mornings. If you missed any of this, head to WFMYnews2.com.